It's Wednesday, October 15th. This is CTV News at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. A deadly police shooting in Eastern Passage. What witnesses say they heard and saw. And new tariffs spark confusion for the forestry sector, caught between the border of New Brunswick and Maine.
Cooler with showers in the region tomorrow, and it'll be a cloudier end to the week Friday as well.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Jesse Thomas.
Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. A woman is dead after an RCMP officer opened fire during a call in Eastern Passage. The police watchdog is investigating what led to the deadly shooting, which neighbors say turned an otherwise quiet afternoon into confusion and fear. CTV's Hafsa Arif has more.
It started as a call for help, but within minutes, it ended in tragedy. According to the Serious Incident Response Team, officers were called to a home Tuesday afternoon. When they arrived, they found a woman holding a knife.
A lot of screaming and hollering. She was telling, it was a female that was doing all the talking, and she was screaming and telling someone to get on the ground.
Police say she refused to drop the knife, and after a taser failed to stop her, one officer fired their gun. The woman was pronounced dead soon after.
So I heard one, and then I heard two after that. But they weren't like bang, bang, bang. It was like bang, and then there was a pause. I mean, things were happening pretty fast, and then I heard two more shots.
Bruce Wicker was working outside nearby. He says the yelling started before police even arrived.
I was hearing screaming and hollering actually before these cops came here. Just somebody was fighting or having a disagreement or whatever, right? But then once the police showed, it really escalated from there.
Within moments, Wicker saw the street swarming with officers. His nephew Cameron saw what happened next.
I took a step down the street and I rounded the corner and kind of just followed a squad car that was going up the road, to which point I made visual contact on what seemed to be her body.
Cameron watched as officers tried to save the woman's life.
After that, just more and more squad cars kind of piled into the park, and they started blocking off the road and making sure nobody could really see the gruesome scene.
Things are quieter here today, which is a stark contrast to the scene that unfolded just a day ago. Neighbors declined to comment, but say the family is having a very tough time with all of this. Jesse?
Thanks, Hafsa. That's Hafsa reporting from Eastern Passage tonight. And a reminder, for more on this story or any other stories you hear, you can visit our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. And the man accused of the choking death of Ryan Sawyer outside the Halifax Ale House took the stand today to testify in his own defense. Alexander Levy said as a bouncer, he was trained to use chokeholds, calling them safer for everybody and to keep people from fighting outside the bar. But he told the court every other time he's used the chokehold maneuver, the person woke up. Now, a warning, some video in this story may be disturbing. CTV's Callum Smith has more.
Alexander Levy leaves a courtroom after explaining in his own words what unfolded in the early morning of December 24th, 2022. He's on trial for charges of manslaughter and criminal negligence causing the death of Ryan Sawyer. Levy told Ryan Sawyer and his brother Kyle they had to leave the Halifax Ale House after an altercation inside. He said Kyle was threatening him, saying words like, "Wait till you get outside, you're gonna get it." Levy said after Ryan Sawyer rushed towards him outside the Prince Street entrance, Ryan said something to the effect of, quote, "You want to see somebody freak out?" Kyle then pushed Levy and the chaos started. Levy began wrestling with Kyle Sawyer for some time before eventually going to call for backup and getting another bouncer to call 911. Later returning, going to take on Ryan Sawyer, who was engaged with another bouncer. Levy said at one point, Ryan Sawyer jerked towards him and they fell to the ground with Sawyer's back on his chest. Levy testified he put his arm fully around Sawyer's neck, but that Sawyer was still trying to punch or claw back at his face. He told the judge that if Sawyer got a good hit in or he didn't put him to sleep, he could be overpowered and, quote, pummeled into the ground. So he decided to squeeze the rear naked chokehold he had and put Sawyer to sleep. He estimated that he squeezed Sawyer for 10 to 15 seconds until he realized Sawyer wouldn't be able to hit him. But unlike the roughly 100 other chokes he's used on people over his nearly 20-year career, Sawyer never woke up. Levy said as part of his 5 years of monthly training, putting people to sleep was to be used as a last resort. For most of the encounter, Levy testified he was just holding Sawyer in the choke position, waiting for police to arrive, but not squeezing on his neck. During cross-examination, the Crown suggested that Levy could have asked for help from multiple other bouncers who were nearby, something he said he didn't do. The prosecutor also suggested Levy was out of breath after the incident because he was forcefully choking Sawyer, but Levy said it was from the general altercation with both brothers. He agreed with the Crown that Ryan Sawyer never struck him during the encounter. Levy is the only defense witness to testify. Court is now adjourned until Monday when lawyers will make closing arguments. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
A retired Nova Scotia RCMP officer is facing sexual assault charges following an investigation by the Serious Incident Response Team. Retired Sergeant Daryl W. Johnson is facing 3 charges. Assistant Commissioner Dennis Daly called the allegations troubling. Johnson will appear in court in Port Hawkesbury next month. And there was confusion and chaos on both sides of the border today as new tariffs on softwood lumber hit the forestry sector, impacting those working in the sector in New Brunswick and neighboring Maine. CTV's Laura Brown has more details.
Trucks that were headed over there have been turned back and had to be unloaded. Some have been allowed to cross.
Linda Bell has been working in the forestry industry along the U.S.-Canada border for almost 3 decades. She says the last 24 to 48 hours have been chaotic and tumultuous since a new 10% tariff was issued on softwood lumber, on top of the existing 35%. It's caused some mills in Maine to halt deliveries of New Brunswick lumber, mills which have processed Canadian wood for over 5 decades.
Yeah, we definitely have the mills that are put the hold on and said, don't ship to us. Let us figure this out. But we have no more answers.
They're trying to figure out exactly what is included under the new tariff. Industry Minister Melanie Joly acknowledged the confusion.
We're seeing also that the interpretation sometimes of executive orders coming out of the White House are not the same depending on the border agents in the U.S. So this is something definitely that Minister LeBlanc is working on and that we will be able to provide more clarity as we're engaging even more with the U.S. administration.
The president of Glenwood Kitchen in Shediac feels like the 25% tariff on cabinets came out of nowhere. But James McKenna says so far, his U.S. customers are remaining loyal.
But it's gonna take a hit in my profitability, a hit in their profitability to ensure that the consumers keep buying from them. That's at 25%. 50% is not doable. There's no way that anybody can afford a 50% tariff on their product.
That 50% duty is expected January 1st. The concern is clear.
If the demand is not there from the States, it's going to have a very poor effect on us, that's for sure.
Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
All right, here's a live look at Summerside PEI, where it's still 11 degrees. Let's get our first look at the weather, shall we? Kaylin Mitchell is in the CTV Weather Center. Hello, Kaylin. How's things looking out there?
Yeah, well, Jesse, we have some showers on the go for parts of the Maritimes, and that is good news. And good news as well that we have some more showers in the forecast for tomorrow because we really need the moisture in the region. We talked about this yesterday, but the Maritimes remains in drought conditions after a very dry month of September. In fact, it was a top 3 dry September on record for a number of parts of the Maritimes. And the first part of October so far really hasn't helped out that situation very much. We're looking at some rainfall reports all the way up through October 15th compared to the average that we typically see through the entire month of October. You can see that we are well shy of those averages so far here in the Maritimes. Also to note that October is typically one of the wettest months for the region, with average precipitation amounts for many locations in excess of 100 millimeters. But again, very far off those marks at this point in time. Taking a look at what's going on radar and satellite, the bulk of the showers right now are falling across eastern areas of New Brunswick. A few could get in western parts of Prince Edward Island, including a chance of some showers around Summerside tonight and into some north and western areas of Nova Scotia. A few showers into parts of Cumberland, Colchester counties and down and around the Annapolis Valley. There's expected to be more showers for the Maritimes tomorrow as a trough of low pressure hangs off of a low pressure system that's actually out over the Atlantic. How much rain are we going to pick up? Well, a lot of areas in sort of the lighter showery conditions will be lucky to see maybe a few millimeters of rain, talking about amounts 2 to 5 millimeters. There's a possibility, though, that all the way through Friday morning there could be some pockets of some rainfall totals as high as between 10 and 20 millimeters for a few areas of eastern New Brunswick and maybe western areas of Nova Scotia, where the showers could end up being a little bit more persistent. Talk more about that when I'm back with the details of the forecast a little bit later on.
We sure will. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Voters in Newfoundland and Labrador showed they were in the mood for change, ousting the Liberal government after 10 years of rule there. They elected Tony Wakeham as the 16th Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador. The Progressive Conservatives ended up taking, well, 21 seats after the vote yesterday. They'll form a majority government as the Liberals held on to 15 seats, while the NDP, they won 2, along with 2 independent seats. Wakeham, you see there on camera, won voters by criticizing the Liberals' controversial energy deal with Quebec during his victory speech last night. Wakeham vowed to deal with that and put it to a referendum and to tackle affordability.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
And the federal government is spending $30 million to help build new rental housing in St. John. The money supports the ongoing build of a new apartment high-rise along the St. John waterfront, slated for opening in 2026. CTV's Avery McRae has the details.
One of the port city's most visible construction projects is getting a big boost to its budget.
The federal government is providing over $30 million in low-interest loans to help build 79 rental housing units right here in St. John.
The funds are being provided through the Apartment Construction Loan Program, which provides fully repayable low-interest loans to spur the development of rental units for middle-class Canadians. It will support the ongoing work of the first of 5 multi-use buildings being built as part of the Fundy Key project.
We had a great summer for pouring concrete and our structural steel, so we're looking to get the building closed in for December here and then continue to progress with the finishings and then be nearing completion end of next summer, fall next year of 26.
The building will include 79 living units with commercial and retail space on the ground level. The developer says the project is playing a big role in St. John's revitalization.
It's what keeps us going and, makes everything, all the headaches and everything worthwhile, so we're tremendously proud.
When Fundy Harbor Group came forth with a project that was going to transform our waterfront, it is an economic boom for our city. People will come here. People will live here.
Today's announcement was the latest in a slew of provincial and federal housing-related announcements, including a $7.4 million commitment this morning by multiple levels of government to overhaul Tracady's water infrastructure, a slow indicator on what officials hope is solutions to the national housing crisis.
We can see the corner. Right, I think we've got a lot of work to do. There is a long hill still ahead. We have massive crises and affordability and homelessness that we need to deliver on.
Ottawa says the loan program supports the construction of 131,000 new rental homes by 2032. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
Today is the last sailing day of the 2025 season for the Cat Ferry operating between Yarmouth and Bar Harbor. Coming off a 30% increase in passengers from 2023 to 2024, Bay Ferries announced earlier this summer that ridership was down this year, largely because Canadians were avoiding travel to the U.S. Totals for this year are expected to come out next week. The CEO of the Yarmouth and Acadian Shores Tourism Association says staycations help make up for the lack of cross-border travel.
It's still early. We don't have final numbers, but we feel we had actually quite a good year. Anecdotally, a lot of our operators are saying they're performing quite well.
The Cat Ferry will return in May for the 2026 season. After that, the Nova Scotia government will require new agreements for the ship, the operator, and the terminal operator there in the U.S. Traffic jams aren't usually a big problem you hear about in the Sydney area. But with a number of road construction projects underway, some drivers say their short commutes are taking hours when they normally take minutes. CTV's Ryan McDonald has a story.
Traffic has been slowed to a crawl lately on Kings Road, one of the main arteries between Sydney and a number of surrounding communities.
Well, boy, she's good today, but yesterday was brutal. My buddy tried to get home yesterday, and it took him 3.5 hours.
Commute home last evening was foolishly long.
John Patterson works in downtown Sydney. His drive home normally takes about 15 minutes. Yesterday, he was tied up in traffic for nearly 2 hours.
An hour and 45 minutes was a very long time to be in traffic, especially with a toddler that's potty training and telling you he needs to pee.
It's slowed us down for sure.
At this cafe in the middle of the construction area, they say the situation has been costing them business.
They're not telling customers that there's an access in the back, so they're just driving by and just not coming in at all.
Only compounding things further is the fact there are other construction zones and areas close by. For example, this section of Highway 125 is down to one lane. Add that on to the traffic jams along Kings Road, and it makes for long lineups during rush hour periods.
I think the biggest thing is the fact they're doing all this construction at the same time. And the construction is good, and I know it's going to be good once it's done.
In an email, a spokesperson for the Department of Public Works says that work is progressing on a new roundabout at Kings Road and Celtic Drive, and a center median will be installed too, adding that traffic flow is expected to improve soon when these lights, which they say have been slowing things down further, are removed in the near future.
But you got to be patient. They got to fix the roads. Everybody complains about the roads being so bad, right?
But it appears it'll be another while yet before traffic here is fully back to normal. Public Works says the Kings Road construction project is expected to be completed in December. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney River, Nova Scotia.
All right, still ahead, patchy showers and fog tonight. Kaylin's back with your weather details, but next, the curtain rises on new development at one of the region's oldest theaters.
You know, these are critical operations that could pose critical operations failures if they were not maintained and upkept.
Some upgrades coming to Moncton's beloved Capitol Theatre. We've got the details next, right after this break. Stick around. Welcome back. Moncton's historic Capitol Theatre will be receiving close to $2 million in upgrades over the next 2 years, and CTV's Derek Haggett has more on where the money is coming from and where it'll be spent.
More than 100,000 people visit the Capitol each year, but most of them won't even notice the upgrades taking place at the historic theatre.
They're not projects that are super forward-facing or that the patrons might realize that the roof is in need of repair, but these are critical operations that could pose critical operations failures if they were not maintained and upkept.
Infrastructure improvements include repairs to the roof, new LED panels on the marquee, and other repairs and replacements. The 103-year-old theatre will also be getting LED lighting for the lobby and main stage and new drapes. Ottawa and the city are spending more than $700,000, while $1 million plus will come from the theatre itself.
Those funds are raised through a ticket levy that we apply to every ticket sold here. $4.50 are set aside in a capital improvement fund, which provide us with those funds to be able to go out and apply for funds from other public partners.
After over a decade as the managing director here at the Capitol Theatre, Kim Rayworth recently announced her retirement, which will be effective at the conclusion of the 2025-2026 programming season.
I think, I've had a really great history with the theatre, and I've loved every minute of it. And I just felt like the time was right to leave while I still feel energetic and I still love coming to work.
There's still a few months left before she leaves for good, but Rayworth says she'll miss her staff and the reaction from the audiences.
I will miss that, but I'll get to enjoy it as an audience member, so, I'll still get to have that feeling.
Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
Okay, still ahead, Katie Kelly joins me for the scene, but coming up next, some showers moving in across parts of the region. Much needed wet weather for the region tomorrow. Kaylin's back and has the details and the full forecast. That's coming up next. And welcome back. And look at that picture-perfect scene in Lower Sackville. That just says fall sweater season right there, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's been a spectacular fall.
Especially the wall there in the foreground, a few little leaves you can see on top of it. That's very nice.
Some videographer on staff is earning their pay. Mike Lamb. Okay, we just heard it from our producer in our ear. Nice shot.
They had an eye for those fall scenes.
Yeah, what a wonderful time of year. But
sure is.
I know it's been a drought year as well, so we need some rain just as bad. And everyone knows that.
We do. And there is some showers in the forecast, which is good news. We'll talk more about that in a moment. We need more substantial rain, obviously, here in the Maritimes and a lot of it. Let's take a look at our weather conditions, though, across the country. So fair bit of sunshine out west at this hour, and temperatures in the low teens right now around the south coast of BC, 11 at Prince George and 15 at Fort St. John, 12 degrees sunshine at Fort McMurray, and 12 degrees and sunny at Calgary. Now, Yellowknife is reporting some rain right now, 9 degrees. There is a low-pressure system making its way through the northwestern territories, and they're expecting some very windy conditions as that system moves through. Yellowknife is actually underneath a wind warning right now. Some of the peak wind gusts with that low as it moves through could actually peak close to 90 kilometers per hour. Down through Saskatchewan, we've got 9s in Saskatoon and Regina. Winnipeg right now sitting at 12 degrees. Iqaluit sitting at 0, expecting a mixture of some light snow and a little bit of freezing drizzle for tonight. Southern Ontario, temperatures mostly around the low to mid-teens. Montreal sitting at 13 degrees. Fredericton at 11 right now. Halifax 15 and Charlottetown 12 degrees. And it's some rain and sitting at 6 degrees at St. John's. On our forecast timeline, the most persistent showers for the first part of tonight will be around eastern areas of New Brunswick, western Prince Edward Island, and some northern areas of Nova Scotia, including around the Annapolis Valley and parts of Cumberland and Colchester counties. Other parts of the region tonight, cloudy periods with a chance of showers developing as we move towards and after midnight. Also expecting some patchy fog around tonight. Cool night for the Maritimes, cloudy, a little bit of a damp feel to the air. Starting off the day for tomorrow, showers still on the go across much of New Brunswick. There'll be some showers, Prince Edward Island, and some showers for Nova Scotia, most widespread through basically northern and western areas of Nova Scotia. Lower chance of some spotty showers throughout the day for eastern areas of Nova Scotia, including Cape Breton. And weather conditions carry on like that as we move into and through Thursday afternoon, with a few showers expected to linger into Thursday evening and Thursday night. We talked about rainfall amounts. In a lot of cases, we're looking at maybe 2 to 5 millimeters in passing showers, but there could be some pockets of 10 to 20 millimeters where the showers are a little bit more persistent. Again, for tonight, that's eastern areas of New Brunswick, and through the day for tomorrow, that's parts of the north and west of Nova Scotia. Though that 10 to 20 millimeter mark, that's not going to be a widespread rainfall. That'll be sort of very localized pockets here and there with some of those, some of that wet weather. Winds in the forecast for tomorrow will be mostly out of the north and northeast. They'll be sustained in a lot of cases near 20 kilometers per hour. They'll have some gusts between 30 and 40. Low temperatures in the forecast for tonight for many parts of the Maritimes in the range of around 5 to 10 degrees. And high temperatures in the forecast for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick between 8 and 12, with central and southern parts of that province with high temperatures between 8 and 13 degrees. Prince Edward Island for tomorrow, with most communities with a high temperature closer to 14. In Cape Breton, the high temperatures on Thursday will be around 12 to 15 degrees and around the mid-teens as well for both the North Shore and Eastern Shore of mainland Nova Scotia. Northern and central parts of the province for tomorrow, we're looking at 13 for Amherst, 14 for Truro, and 14 for the city centres Halifax and Dartmouth, Upper Tantallon as well. In the Annapolis Valley, 13 for Kentville and Middleton, 12 for Digby, and on the south shore of Nova Scotia and in the southwest, Yarmouth and Barrington closer to 11 degrees, but 13 for Shelburne and Liverpool. Taking a look at the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick coming up on Friday. Looking pretty cloudy. Might be a little bit of patchy drizzle around, especially around Moncton in the southeastern corner of the province. Then a mix of sun and cloud for the weekend ahead. Afternoon high temperatures around the mid-teens. Cloudy periods for the start of next week. That's followed by a chance of showers on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now for Nova Scotia, in an ongoing north and northeast wind on Friday, there may be some patchy showers and drizzle. It's then cloudy periods in the forecast for Saturday and a little bit more clearing for Sunday, a bit of a mix of sun and cloud. And same thing goes for Monday of next week. High temperatures will be around the mid-teens and then a chance of showers with highs in the low teens for both Tuesday and Wednesday. And for Prince Edward Island, a little bit of a dreary end to this week. A lot of cloud cover around for Friday, some patchy drizzle and showers and a northerly wind. There'll be a chance of showers on Saturday with highs near 12 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud for Sunday, and on Monday with highs coming up to 16. After that, a chance of showers Tuesday and Wednesday. Jesse.
Great. Thanks for that, Kalen. We'll check in with you later on for the wake-up weather. But next, we'll talk about declining enrollment at maritime universities. And later, we've got this story.
I'm Katie Kelly. Tonight on The Scene, Canada's fearless rock icon Carol Pope brings her raw edge and legendary voice to the Maritimes. Our conversation with her is coming up.
Mornings with Crash and Sarah Beth.
Hey, for tomorrow's show, so we know tone of voice is an issue, but we'll talk unspoken rules in your relationships.
Then we'll have more winners with Moves Dream Big, and we'll play Beat the Bank.
Welcome back. Joining us in studio now is Peter Halpin, the Executive Director at the Association of Atlantic Universities. Now, a new survey from the organization shows that international student enrollment is declining by quite a bit. It's down 28% across Atlantic Canadian institutions, and that's fewer than 6,500 students than last year. So we'll get right into it, Peter. What's driving this steep decline? Is it strictly the federal international student cap, or are there other issues that are at play here?
Well, the cap plays a great role in what's happening, but there's also other Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada policies that also are affecting the choices that international students are making. There's an increased financial requirement of international students. The visa processing continues to be a bit of an issue. And so, by and large, what's happened is Canada's brand internationally has been very badly tarnished. And there's a perception that Canada is no longer a welcoming country for international students, and they have choices. There's many other countries in the world competing hard for the same cohort of students, and regrettably, Canada is losing out, and Atlantic Canada in particular.
Disproportionately, are Atlantic Canadian universities, institutions of higher learning, being impacted greater by this federal cap than, say, counterparts in larger provinces like Ontario, Quebec, British
Yes,
Columbia?
we are. And, you know, the federal government's objective was to reduce the total number of international students across the country, universities and colleges, by about 35%.
Yeah.
Our universities in Atlantic Canada have lost about 36% of international students. That's a big hit for our region, and not just for our universities, but for the region's economy and population growth strategies. International students are one of the best sources of new citizens for our region, which we are in dire need of.
What do we, based on that though, what do we know about the percentage of, say, international students who graduate that decide to stick around here, say, in Atlantic Canada?
It's a very impressive number. Over 60% of international students studying at our universities want to stay in Atlantic Canada following their graduation. That's because they've had a high-quality university experience. They've been welcomed in the communities where they have attended school, and they very much want to stay here. You know, an interesting fact that just became known to me a year ago is that of the startup businesses coming out of our universities every year, which there are quite a number, 60% are led by international students.
Right. We rely on them being here. Not having them here, what is that cost to the economy? I know it's still in year one of this federal cap, but do we get an understanding of what type of economic impact,
well,
say, it's having
the
on
overall economic impact of universities in Atlantic Canada is north of $2 billion annually. So international students make up a big component of that economic impact. So, you know, when you think of especially the universities outside of the larger urban centers, you know, Acadia in Wolfville, St. FX in Antigonish, or Mount Allison in Sackville, New Brunswick, the impact of international students in those communities is very significant.
We understand that from the federal government perspective, Ottawa has been very clear. They said there's a housing crisis right across the board. We need to address it. And one of those, as I understand, is this federal cap on international students. How do you address that argument that they're trying to, you know, address a situation that a lot of people are feeling? We know the situation of the housing crisis and how it's impacting.
Well, you're quite
people.
right. I mean, that was part of the rationale that the federal government presented when they introduced the student cap, was to reduce the pressure on affordable housing. I believe that international students got swept up in that concern about affordable, accessible housing. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, if you look at in a university community like Halifax, where I live,
right,
you know, there's an awful lot of apartments for rent. So in one sense...
Is there, though? It's hard to say, because we've done numerous stories where we talk with young families who are hopping from one-year lease to another and unable to get into the housing market. I'm wondering if we need to see how this cap is going to play out and if housing can keep up. That's...
Well, there was a story in the Globe and Mail on the weekend of a lot of landlords across the country who are now really feeling the impact of the loss of international students on rental properties.
What does the institution themselves have a role to play in perhaps housing then? Where does that come into the conversation? Or is there just not enough?
Virtually all of our universities have on-campus student residences. All have plans to expand student housing. So that's number one. Yeah. Now, of course, we are publicly funded universities, and that requires investment from both provincial governments and the federal government, quite frankly.
And it can't happen overnight either, unfortunately, right?
You know, construction takes time. But certainly all of our institutions have plans to expand student housing on campus. And I'm in conversations regularly now with the rental housing providers and talking to them about, you know, what we can do together to make the international student experience in particular better for those students.
Given where we are right now with the decline in enrollment of international students and that cap that's in place, what would you like to see happen next? What have we learned so far?
Well, we've been working on an initiative for the past year called Atlantic Education Destination. And we are creating a regional coalition of like-minded organizations, ourselves, universities, Atlantic colleges, ACOA, Public Policy Forum, Atlantic, the Atlantic Chambers of Commerce, Springboard Atlantic. And the whole purpose is to develop a regional enrollment strategy that it would be a collaborative affair. We're engaged with provincial governments as well.
Have you had a chance to meet all together now, or is this in the early stages?
Not all together, but, you know, a lot of conversations.
Interesting.
We recently met with the Honourable Lena Diab, Minister of Immigration federally, who's an MP from Halifax West, and we apprised her of our plans around Atlantic Education Destination. She was receptive.
And familiar with the area.
Yeah, very much so. She's a former international student, and she has a real understanding of the impact of the loss of these students on our institutions and on our communities and on the region. So we introduced the Atlantic Education Destination concept to the minister. As I say, she was intrigued by it and very receptive, and we're in a positive dialogue with her about it.
Well, I think we have a follow-up interview in the works already, hearing about this. That is all the time we have for now. We have to cut it short, Peter, but I want to thank you for joining us. That's Peter Halpin. He is the Executive Director of the Association of Atlantic Canadian Universities.
Thank you, Jesse, for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Stick around. We're going to go to commercial break, but we've got more news on the other side. Welcome back. In the Lifeline tonight, the health impacts of loneliness. CTV's Amanda Debison has more.
Feelings of loneliness can take a toll on your physical and mental health. A recent Public Library of Science study took a look at how loneliness affects health and found that it can lead to an increased risk of depression and other emotional issues, as well as poor physical well-being. Feeling emotionally disconnected or isolated hits harder for some people than others. Women and adults over 45 who feel lonely a lot are especially vulnerable to depression. Experts say knowing you're at risk can help you spot the signs earlier and protect your sense of well-being. Mixture of commonly used medications that end up in waterways and the natural environment could be promoting the development of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. According to a new study, as much as 90% of the medications humans and animals use end up passing through the body and into the natural environment via wastewater or runoff from fields. Researchers say this so-called pharmaceutical cocktail poses a potential threat to human health because if the bacteria is ingested and results in infection, health providers may not be able to easily treat them, as antibiotics are more likely to fail. The study was published in ISME Communications. Finally, a firm handshake is more than just a confident way to say hello. It's also a surprisingly strong indicator of how well you're aging. A growing body of research shows that a weak grip is linked to a higher risk of falls, fractures, cognitive decline, and several chronic conditions. One study in the journal Clinical Interventions in Aging found that grip strength was a better predictor of physical ability and longevity than blood pressure. Grip strength seems to reflect the health of multiple body systems, including the muscles, nerves, and heart. Experts say if you have enough strength to grasp and lift objects easily, it's likely you're able to move and live independently with ease. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
Lights, camera, action. We're on the scene with Katie Kelly. All right.
Hi, Jesse.
Hey, Katie. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great. What's going on in the entertainment world?
Well, Jesse, Carol Pope is coming to the Maritimes. The Canadian Songwriters Hall of Famer can't wait to bring her fearless spirit back to East Coast stages.
It's like a high school confidential.
Carol Pope is no stranger to breaking boundaries. Best known from the legendary band Rough Trade, her music has long challenged the norm of sexuality, politics, and culture, making her one of Canada's most fearless voices.
I don't know. I just have always written about sexuality, and I think that my songs, you can interpret my songs however you like, but we did have a #1 hit about High School Confidential, about me singing about a woman. So I guess I did it first.
When she passes me a look, I wanna burn my books, give up high school.
And now, Pope is bringing that energy to the Maritimes with 4 shows.
My guitar player, Tim Welch, and I are doing an acoustic show. We're going to play new stuff, old stuff, just generally mouth off.
Fans can expect a mix of Rough Trade classics and her newer solo material.
A piece of rough trade lying in the corner, the bud, the bath, handle her with kid love.
Yeah, we have to play a couple of the hits, and I'm not sure how many Rough Trade songs we play, but people know my new music, so it all works out pretty well.
Walking down the corridor.
Pope was recently inducted into Canada's Walk of Fame and the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, something she calls especially meaningful, shared with her late bandmate Kevin Staples.
Well, it was great to be recognized as, as Rough Trade. Kevin, unfortunately, has since passed away, so that's kind of heartbreaking. But, I was so glad that he could be there for that, and it was both those events were great.
Pope hasn't spent much time in the Maritimes in recent years, but says she's excited to return.
We used to play there all the time in the 80s and 90s, and then very sporadically since then. So I'm very excited to be back there because I love the people, I love the land, and I love eating seafood.
Carol Pope's Maritime Tour runs October 28th through November 1st, with stops in Riverview, Halifax, Fredericton, and St. John.
Yeah.
I said to Carol, I was like, there's not many people that aren't from the Maritimes that I speak to that don't say that they love the land, the people, and the seafood. I'm like, we definitely have that going for us.
Look up rock and roller in the dictionary. Carol Pope is just
right?
Like
totally.
living, breathing.
Yeah, she is so cool.
Yeah.
So we've got info for Carol Pope's 4 East Coast shows up on our website. If you want to check them out, you can go there to get all the details.
There you go. And holiday tradition returns.
Yes, lots of people excited about this one. One of the East Coast's most powerful live performers announced their annual run of shows.
Adam Baldwin, along with his band, the Jenny Wren, will take over the Lighthouse Arts Centre for 3 nights, December 11th, 12th, and 13th. The Dartmouth rocker, known for his gritty vocals and heartfelt storytelling, promises an unforgettable hometown run just before the holidays. Tickets to see Adam Baldwin at the Lighthouse Arts Centre are on sale now. I went last year, Jesse.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was my favorite show I went to last holiday season. It was so fun.
You just never know who's going to show up at one of the shows either.
Yes, he's got
in the audience or on stage.
Yeah, totally. He's got some really cool special guests too, so definitely check that out.
Right on. And you have a brand new contest to tell viewers about?
Yes, it's the Lots of Laughs Getaway. The Great Outdoors Comedy Festival is set to return to Halifax in 2026. The event will take place from August 6th to 9th on the Garrison Grounds. It will feature 2 shows with headliner Matt Rife on Thursday and Friday, and a Sunday show with headliner Nikki Glazer. One lucky viewer will win 2 VIP tickets to Rife's show on August 7th. If you want to enter, you can scan that QR code on your screen or go to ctvatlantic.ca and follow the contest prompts. The contest is open until 6 p.m. on Friday. Don't miss out on your chance to enjoy live comedy in the great outdoors.
All right, thanks for that, Katie.
You're welcome.
Let's take a look at tonight's primetime lineup. And to business news now. On the markets, the Dow ended the day down just 17 points. Meanwhile, we got another look at how American tariffs are affecting us here in Canada. Manufacturing sales for August dropped by 1%. BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez has more on that.
Sales fell in 12 of the 21 subsectors tracked by Statistics Canada, coming in at $69.4 billion. And that's a drop from the July number of $70.3 billion. Transportation equipment had the steepest decline, with fewer aerospace parts, vehicles, and car parts produced. Food sales also dropped, with less grain and dairy production. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar really didn't change. It ended the day at 71.19. West Texas Intermediate crude barely budged. It sits at 58.72. Western Canadian Select up a dime to 47.87, and the TSX moved up another 283 points today for another record high close. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
All right, thanks, Morella. Let's go to Kaylin Mitchell, who's outside on the weather deck with your blue puffer on now. Kaylin,
Yeah,
is this a sign? How's it going?
Yeah, it's a little cool out here, Jesse, so I thought I'd throw on a little bit of a fall jacket. Tonight around the Maritimes, it's going to be cloudier. It's going to be cool. There'll be some patchy showers and fog developing. Let's take a look at your picture for tonight. Speaking of fall, though, beautiful one here. This is coming in from Keith Flynn from Fall River, Nova Scotia. I want to thank Keith very much for taking the time to take this picture and share it with us. Now, Fall River for tomorrow. Cloudy conditions in the forecast and expecting some showers. The high temperature near 14 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow around the Maritime region. Might want to have a little bit of a rain jacket or an umbrella, especially in New Brunswick and western Nova Scotia, where showers will be a little bit more widespread first thing in the morning. And then moving into and through the afternoon, further scattered showers around the Maritimes, along with a breezy north and northeast wind. With that, high temperatures tomorrow will be around the low to mid-teens. Jesse.
All right, cooler and some showers. I know we need that rain. Thanks for that, Kaylin. You have a great night. And finally tonight, Halloween's top costumes for 2025 have been revealed. Number 1 this year for kids' costumes. There you have it, Spider-Man. This is according to the annual consumer survey. In the U.S. alone, more than 2 million kids plan to dress up as Peter Parker or Spider-Man, as he's known, this year. Anyways, second on that list, let's have a quick look, shall we? Princess. And number 3, this is an old standard. How about a witch? And then Ghost comes in not far behind at number 4. I know there's going to be a lot of other creative costumes. Looking forward to seeing some of that this year. But with the trend of animal Halloween costumes, the number 1 dog costume this year, you may have guessed it, just the pumpkin. Okay? All right. That is our show for tonight. I'll be back here at 11:30 filling in for Bruce Frisco, who's off this week. I hope you'll tune in then. In the meantime, find all the day's important news on our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. It's updating all the time. I'm Jesse Thomas in for Todd Battis. Have a great night, everyone.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.